Morning, Deputy Speaker. Speaker, the word crisis is often overused. Everything seems to be a crisis these days. But I tell you what, when it comes to housing in this country, we do have a genuine crisis. Because from whether it be South-West Australia and the electorate of Forest, where we've just heard about, through to the top of Queensland, to the bottom of Australia, down in Hobart, in Tasmania, wherever you go, wherever you look, there genuinely is a chronic shortage of accommodation for people. And of course, without accommodation, without safe, reliable accommodation, you can't be healthy, you can't hold down a job, you can't raise a family. People end up in this spiral of disadvantage, and it's very, very hard to get out of it, all for the want of a reliable, safe, affordable roof over their heads. No wonder, Deputy Speaker, that the average age of death for homeless people in Australia is 44 years of age. I'll say that again because that's just a staggering figure. The average age of death for homeless Australians is 44 years of age. Half, Deputy Speaker, what you and I might hope to achieve, or better. No wonder, Deputy Speaker, that there's something like 4,700 people on Tasmania's social housing waiting list, with an average wait time of more than 2 years for Priority 1 applicants. I mean, these are staggering figures, and this is in a population of about 500,000 people. And it's not just the homeless who are doing it terribly tough these days. Of course, rents right around Australia, and especially in Greater Hobart, are high, getting higher, and unaffordable. In fact, Hobart remains the equal least affordable capital city, a title it has held since 2018. Now, to put that in perspective, Deputy Speaker, we have some of the lowest average wages, but we have some of the highest average rents. The result being that we are consistently one of the least affordable, one of the most unaffordable capital cities in the Commonwealth, and that's for renters. I mean, the situation is so bad. I've actually met people holding down a good job, living in their car, because they can't afford the rents that are being demanded. That is completely unacceptable. And then don't get me started about people who have got thumping big mortgages, who are suffering mortgage stress. In fact, it is judged that over half of the mortgage holders in my electorate of Clark are at risk of mortgage stress. 51.9% in the electorate of Clark are judged to be at risk of mortgage stress. So that's half the mortgage holders in my patch. Many of them, they're going without essentials. They're not going to the doctor. They're not getting their scripts filled. They're not having 3 good meals a day. They're not providing the opportunities for their children that we might take for granted as highly paid and, I'm sure, accommodated people in this House. Now, Deputy Speaker, it raises the question, how on earth could Australia find itself in this position? We are the 12th biggest economy in the world. The 12th biggest economy in the world. We are fabulously wealthy. It's not for shortage of money. In fact, we are, when you look at mean wealth per adult, we are 4th in the world, only behind Switzerland, the United States and Hong Kong. When you look at median wealth per adult, Deputy Speaker, we're 2nd in the world. Australians are the 2nd richest people on the planet when measured by median wealth per adult. And it's not like the government doesn't have enough money. Deputy Speaker, in this financial year, the federal government will spend a forecast $684.1 billion. In other words, more than $684,000 million. So it's not for lack of money. There's plenty of money in this country. We are a very rich and fortunate people. What's missing, Deputy Speaker? Well, for a start, a lack of vision. Now, I do commend the government for some of its, for its reforms it is rolling out, including today's bill. I think today's bill is welcome, even though it has shortcomings. But really, we're just putting band-aids over things and tinkering around the edges. We need more vision. We need more bravery. We need more political will. And we need less political division to see that, less political division to see that vision realised. You know, sadly, we do need to have a debate, for example, about negative gearing. But as soon as anyone raises a whiff of mention of negative gearing, it doesn't become an opportunity in this place for an intelligent debate of ideas. It becomes a political opportunity to score points. And I have a go at the opposition here. They're the worst offenders here. You know, a debate about negative gearing would be a very worthwhile debate to have. For people to come in here in good faith and to debate their point of view, and may the best, strongest point of view win the day and result in policy change. But instead, it's just an opportunity to score points, to drag down whoever's in government. And I lament that fact, Deputy Speaker. The country is the poorer for it. Deputy Speaker, there are so many things we should be doing if we had that vision, if we had that political strength, if we had a less confrontational parliamentary system. For example, we should be increasing investment in homelessness and crisis accommodation and support services, including in workforce capacity and development. We can afford it. We're the 12th biggest economy in the world. The government this year is spending 2/3 of $1 trillion. We can afford it. We can afford to increase investment in homelessness and crisis accommodation and support services. We also, Deputy Speaker, need to coordinate improved national rental standards which offer renters genuine protections and security of tenure. I mean, you can't bring up a family when it's month by month, or even 6 months by 6 months, or even 12 months by 12 months. I mean, why can't we look at other countries that have succeeded in this space? Look at, for example, some of the European countries where people can have lifetime tenancy, 20-year leases, 15-year leases. That's the sort of security that families, and not just families, everyone needs. Everyone needs. Let's say you're an individual on the disability support pension, a client of the NDIS, and you're sitting in a private rental. You can't be worrying about where you'll be next month or in 6 months or in 12 months. You need, for your health, for your recovery, for your peace of mind, for your mental health, you need to know that you've got a secure roof over your head and it's not something you have to be worried about. We need increasing income support payments and, in particular, Commonwealth rent assistance. Now, I know, this changes from time to time, but again, Deputy Speaker, I feel we're tinkering around the edges. The sort of increase to CRA that is needed is a big increase. Now, my critics might say that that will just encourage landlords to jack up the rents. Well, of course, it would be a driver in some areas for increased rents. But then we loop back to my previous point about improved national rental standards and genuine protections. I mean, I know the ACT here, it has limits on how much rent can increase. But I have a go at the government now. The government keeps saying, oh, yeah, but this is a matter for the state and territory governments. Well, be strong. Be a government that leads. Get all the premiers and chief ministers into a room and say, right, let's put aside our differences and let's work together to improve the safeguards for renters. And that would, among other things, help to keep a lid on increased rents as a result of Commonwealth rent assistance. We need meaningful resourcing and decision-making power to the Indigenous community housing organisations. We need targeted incentives to local and state governments to deliver well-planned, medium and high-density social and affordable housing close to where people live, not way out on some greenfield site with poor services and poor public transport. and I've left the best one to last, Deputy Speaker, implementing serious progressive tax reform to address systemic housing inequalities which are currently baked in and favour wealthy investors and developers over average Australians. Now, I know the government got badly burnt at the 2019 election. I get that. I can see why they're gun-shy. But let's show some strength. And I can see why the opposition see this as a political opportunity to bang the government on the head if they even mention changes to negative gearing or capital gains tax discounts, for example. But can't we just, for one policy area, we do it on national security most of the time, why don't we do the same thing on homelessness and say, right, let's bang our heads together and have a think about this? Now, sure, to get rid of negative gearing completely and immediately, of course that would be highly problematic for people who have made investment decisions in good faith, particularly as they're approaching retirement. But heavens, can't we come in with reform that perhaps grandfathers investors up until now? Or perhaps put caps on it and say, OK, we acknowledge that there's a lot of mum and dad investors might have one investment property, or two investment properties or whatever. But why can't we cap it and say, well, you can't get negative gearing on 20 houses or 30 houses? In fact, the sort of numbers of houses some members in this place and in the Senate actually have, I would point out. You know, there are ways to design these, but it's got to be something we work together on, Deputy Speaker. Otherwise, we're going to be back here next year, the year after. You know, we're fine. We're fat, dumb and lucky. I reckon everyone in this place has got a roof over their head. Many people in this place have owned a number of properties. I'm lucky, I'll admit it. My wife and I own a holiday shack down at the bottom of Tasmania. We're the lucky ones. But how about we start governing in the best interests of everyone else, the majority? You know, during the Stage 3 tax cuts debate, I remember seeing a figure. Only about 4% of Australians earn over $180,000, or taxpayers, I should say. I think that was the figure. Only about 2% of Tasmanians earn over $180,000. In other words, compared to 98% of Tasmanians, we're rich. You know, we have a moral obligation to work together and not just argue over everything. Even this Help to Buy shared equity scheme. OK, it's not perfect. OK, it's only 40,000 properties. OK, it's on a first-come, first-serve approach. It's far from perfect. But I tell you what, it's better than nothing. Why do we have to fight over everything? Why is every idea from this side opposed by this side? Why is every good idea on this side opposed by that side? The losers are our communities that we are sent here to represent. And when we do argue over everything and we fail to work in a collegiate way, we let our communities down. It's as simple as that, Deputy Speaker. I'll be supporting the bill. It's not perfect, but better than nothing. If we don't get this bill through the parliament, those 40,000 homes, which hopefully will be bought or built, it won't happen. And I take the point from the member for Forest. Yeah, there's lots of questions. Yeah, there's things people need to have. They need to go into this scheme with their eyes wide open. But that doesn't mean we stop it. Maybe we need to amend something. We need to fix it, put some safeguards in. I don't know. But it's no reason to stop it. Thank you.